Is it the best Scream since the original, or does it try to carve up more than it can hack? I'm Ryan Riley for Sketchy Behavior, and this is my review for Scream 6. Scream 6 sees the survivors of the last film moving from Woodsboro to New York City to attend college. When a new round of Ghostface killings start, the Woodsboro survivors need to band together, find out who's committing these crimes before they get picked off one by one. First off, right out the gate, Scream 6 starts great. This is by far the best opener since Scream 2. Right from the beginning, we are introduced to a Ghostface that is brutal, mean, intense. I mean, this person doesn't just stab you once in the back and you fall over dead. They brutalize you. They stab you like 27 times and then leave you to bleed out on the floor. Some of the sequences in this movie are the most stressful, most intense sequences I have seen in any Scream movie. When I say they make Ghostface scary, I fucking mean it. They will not hesitate to stab you in the gut, bitch slap you, take your shotgun and blow your head off with it. Now, the main highlights of the trailers were the train sequence and the bodega sequence, and both of those sequences, as well as others in this film, had me on the edge of my seat in a way that I don't think a Scream movie has ever done before. So absolute kudos to the filmmakers for that. The first 2/3 of this movie are great, and I will get to the last third of the movie in a bit. I didn't love the fifth movie, but I really liked a lot of the characters we were introduced to, much to my delight. I think they're great in this movie. I think a lot of them are even better in this movie than they were in the last one. Absolutely love seeing Kirby back. I think she was a little underutilized and she doesn't feel entirely like the Kirby that I came to know and love, but it is 10 years later. She's been through a lot, so it makes sense the character's not quippy and quoting movies all the time, which actually, by the way, is part of what this movie changes. It's not as quippy or as movie reference heavy as the previous movies, and I feel like that is a good thing because they tried that in 5, and I thought a lot of it was very heavy-handed, a little ham-fisted, a little on the nose, and a lot of lines just were a little cringy, so I think it was a good thing to move away from that a little bit here. And it's not to say that it's completely eliminated. It's not. There's plenty of movie references, and there's a whole monologue about the rules and all that shit that happens, and that's very fun, and it's awesome, but I do think they moved in a good direction, grounding some of the dialogue more. It actually felt like it refreshed the franchise a little bit. And that brings us to the biggest question going into Scream 6, and that is, does the Scream franchise need Sidney Prescott? No. They don't. I think this movie plays as strongly as it does because it focuses on the new cast, and it really gives them time to breathe and develop. They've really kind of come into their own in this movie, and as they dub themselves the Core 4, you are rooting for the Core 4. I don't necessarily think you would have had that same connection to those characters if you were also trying to shove Sydney into this movie, where honestly she doesn't belong. She felt like a bit of an afterthought in the fifth movie, so I'm glad they didn't do that here and include her just for the sake of inclusion. Sidney Prescott is my favorite final girl. I think pound for pound, she is the best final girl of all time. I think she's one of the greatest horror movie protagonists of all time. I love Sidney Prescott. I'm not happy that she's not in this movie because of a payment dispute with Neve Campbell. If Neve Campbell wants to come back to Scream, pay the woman whatever the hell she's asking for. This is essentially her franchise if she wants it to be. But I think creatively, this film is a lot stronger for not having included her. And I think that is reflected in Gale Weathers' presence in the movie because her presence and role in the movie feels very redundant. We just reset her again to be kind of the shitty TV show news anchor. And it doesn't work for me. It's like, why is she here? Now, the only thing that I feel she really adds to the franchise by being in this film is that we finally see Gale get a call from Ghostface after Randy intervened in Scream 2 and answered her phone.
Gale's not here.
I'm not interrupting anything, am I?
So it was very cool to kind of see that confrontation, and we get to see Gale actually be smart and witty and take on Ghostface verbally. And I think that was really fun to watch and very much long overdue. But other than that, I don't know what she was really doing in this movie.
Strange that you and I have never spoken on the phone.
Now we're coming towards the end of the film, and I'm not going to go into any spoilers, but this is where the movie loses me. Well, here's the thing. In Scream 5, I didn't like the killer reveal. In this movie, I not only don't like the killer reveal, I don't like the third act. This movie spent so much time building something darker and more menacing and something that felt fresh to the series, and then in the third act, they just kind of fucking revert to doing the same old, same old. It's the exact opposite of everything they had kind of just been working towards, and they decide to play it way too safe. Now, don't get me wrong. A lot of people are stabbed in this movie. A lot of people die in this movie. But there is some shit that happens in this movie where people take amounts of damage that is absolutely lethal. And it lowers the stakes tremendously in the third act. Just because the people that do make it through, they shouldn't have made it through, man. There's only so much damage a body can take. So like in something like Scream 3, you're watching somebody get stabbed once and fall over dead, and that's ridiculous. But in this movie, you're watching people get stabbed like 20 times and still somehow fucking survive. It's equally nonsensical, just in the opposite direction. Now, does this destroy the entire film for me? No. And I think I'm gonna go see it again because, as I said, there is a lot that I really loved in the first like 2/3 of this movie, but that last like half hour, it's not good. It reverts back to sort of tropey, cliche writing. It's something we've seen before. For all the talk of like, this is a Ghostface you've never seen before, very true. But you've seen this killer reveal and motivation before. I just feel like this movie spends a lot of time teasing much more interesting storylines and potential killers as red herrings, and then just kind of falls flat with the actual reveals. After we spend a majority of the movie doing something different, to have it go back to doing some of the same shit we've seen over and over again really didn't work for me. And I don't think the element that they introduce here for what's supposed to be different is really all that different than things we've seen. So I don't think the ending was half as clever as they wanted. I think they played it far too safe, just from a narrative perspective in general, let alone some of the people who make it through this thing who definitely shouldn't have. I still think it's absolutely worth going to a theater to sit with a big crowd and just have a great time for a majority of the film. And who knows, maybe the ending doesn't even bother you, right? It could just be me personally. Things that bother me aren't going to necessarily bother you, but I would say if you're a fan of this franchise, go in expecting to see some different things and have a lot of fun with the intensity and the brutality of it, but definitely be prepared to not love the ending. Anyway, that's just my opinion. Jump down in the comments below. Let me know if you saw Scream 6 and what you thought about it. Did you walk out of that thinking like this is one of the best Scream movies ever made? Because damn it, I got pretty close to that feeling. Just got let down in the last third. I'm Ryan Riley for Sketchy Behavior. Thank you so much for watching my review for Scream 6. And until next time, keep it sketchy.
Scream.